Hi, good morning. Today's a special day to be teaching Torah from Reb Nosson. It's his Yortzeit, it's the 18th of Tishrei, and we know that Likkutei Halachot, written by Reb Nosson, is really based on the teachings of Reb Nosson. So this should be an elevation for the neshama of Reb Nosson ben Simcha. So we're in chapter 8. Actually, we're in chapter 1, Chelek 8, from Likkutei Halachot, how to get up in the morning. We're talking about the importance of finding the good point. And Reb Nosson starts talking about, in this Chelek 8, this idea of the korbanot. We've been talking about korbanot, how the action of doing the korban is an action of the Kohen, the man of chesed, the ish chesed, connected to Avram Avinu, finding the good in the animal and elevating it. And Reb Nosson explains that while the Kohanim are doing the korban, different groups of people are doing different things. By the way, there were 24, it says in the times of David HaMelech, the Kohanim were divided into mishmarot, watches, or guardian groups, 24 family groups who would be given the task of doing the avoda in the temple, and these groups would rotate in shifts, and they would work a week at a time. And just like the Kohanim were divided into rotating shifts, the Leviim were divided into rotating shifts, and while the Kohanim would be presenting the korban, the Leviim would be singing their melodies. And while the Leviim would be singing their melodies, the Yisraelim were also divided into 24 groups known as the Ma'amadot, the standing groups. So the Leviim were positioned on their platform. They would perform music while the korban was being presented. And it's through the concept of the korban, which is offered by the Kohen, the man of chesed. This was also the concept of finding and refining good, finding and refining the good in the animal. Now, how it says, and the Yisraelim, the Ma'amad delegation, would stand nearby at their station, and they would engage in reciting passages of Torah while the offering was being presented. And this would bring into the korban the aspect of dibur, speech. Now, by reciting these Torah passages, they would elevate the good that was being extracted via the korban, and they would add this aspect of dibur, which would provide the essential assent. Now, what's so interesting about this particular lesson is, what was it that the Yisraelim, the Ma'amad, the Yisraelim would recite? And this is what's so impressive and exciting to me, that the delegation would read the act of creation in Parshat Bereshis. So, and why is it that they would recite the passages from Bereshis? Ki ma'aseh Bereshit ikaru al yedei birur hatov. Because the whole process of creation is this ikar of finding and extracting, and this act of birur, extracting the good from the bad. The whole process of Bereshit is that. Ki ma'aseh Bereshit ikaru al yedei barur hatov b'chinat uvtuvo machadesh b'chol yom tamid ma'aseh Bereshit. And also every day where we have a recreation of the world, it's again this act of Hashem finding the good and elevating it and energizing it. V'zeh b'chinat ki tov hanema b'chol sheishis yamei Bereshis. This is the aspect of all days of creation. This is, I think, incredibly exciting. So let's read it with a little bit of extrapolation from the English translation. They read from Parshas Bereshis because the act of creation came about primarily through birur of the good, as in with his good, he renews each day continuously the act of creation. V'zeh bichinat kitov shenemar b'chol sheshes yamei bereshis. Each day is being recreated through his good. It is specifically through the extraction and revelation of the divine good that Hashem renews the creation daily. This is the birur of the good. It is also implicit in the words God saw that it was good, meaning that the good is now perceivable because it has been extracted and revealed, which is written about each of the 6 days of creation. So let me read a little bit more and then I'll explain. Ki kodem, okay, so let's see. There's a connection between Hashem seeing the good and using that good to bring about the creation of the world, with Moshe's mother seeing the goodness in Moshe and seeing her good. So it's Reb Nosson is citing the verse depicting Moshe's mother's reaction upon seeing her newborn son. She saw that he was good. She saw that he was good, and Hashem looks at the creation and sees that it is good. Chazal teach us that when Moshe was born, the house filled with light. This connects with Reb Nosson's teaching here, in which he cites the Torah's use of the same expression in depicting Hashem's reaction upon seeing the newborn light of creation. God saw the light, that it was good. In both cases, Reb Nosson shows that this expression is allusion to the Nakuda Tova. So let's read it back inside. Ki ma'aseh bereshit ikaru al yedei barur hatov, or birur hatov, barur hatov, ubechinat uv tuvo machadesh b'chol yom tamid ma'aseh bereshit v'zeh bechinat ki tov hane'emar b'chol sheshes yamei bereshit. So each day that Hashem created the world, he was finding and extrapolating on this good point. In other words, the whole creation is a finding and a empowering of the good point. How so? Well, let's go back to even before the world was created. Ki kodem tikun ma'aseh bereshit ne'emar v'ha'aretz hayta tohu uvohu v'choshech al pnei hamayim v'zeh bechinat hitgabrut hara'a shechofe al hatov v'hatikun haya al yedei bechinat v'ruach elokim merachefes zeh ruach shel Moshiach shehu bechinat hatov. This is incredibly deep, and I am possibly not your greatest teacher in this because I'm fumbling and I'm learning it with you as I'm teaching it. But let's not miss how incredibly important what I've just read really is. If you've been with these lessons with me for a few weeks already, or you've, in your own time, this is now chapter 8. If you've been following all the halakim that have preceded this, you're going to have seen that Reb Nosson is talking about how important it is to begin your day to find the good point in yourself, find the good point in others. But here he's saying that Hashem finding the good point is what enabled the entire process of creation, because before he did that, before Hashem did that, ki kodem tikun ma'aseh bereshit, before the tikkun, the fixing of the act of creation, what did we find? V'ha'aretz ha'isa tohu uvohu. The world was full of dark. V'ha'aretz ha'isa tohu uvohu v'choshech. And there was darkness on the face of the earth. And this is what did Hashem do? He then empowered the good. And v'zeh b'chinat hitgabrut hara. He managed to kind of suppress the evil was preventing the creation from becoming manifest, and there had to be a overcoming of this negativity to let the good emerge. V'atikun haya al yedei bechinat v'ruach elokim merachefes. How was creation activated? Because Hashem activated this ruach elokim, this good, this essential goodness, and that's how it all happened. V'ruach elokim merachefes da rucho shel Moshiach. And then he says even more that this ruach elokim that was hovering on the face of the earth, which allowed him to find that good and then let that good triumph over the darkness that was present, the choshech that was there, the tohu and the vohu and the choshech that was there, this good, that's the ruach of Moshiach. And that is the Nakuda Tova that we have to find every day to allow for this rising up of the dawn. It's this same good that Hashem had to activate for creation that has to be found within, we have to search for within others. That's the same Tov that is the Tov of Moshiach. I think this is, whoa, mind-blowing and tremendously exciting. So we see that evil and the good it contains requires birur, and that existed before creation. Thus, regarding what preceded the tikkun brought about by the act of creation, the Torah states the earth was without form and void, with darkness. This is the Kabbalistic concept of the ascendancy of evil when it covers and conceals the good. In this case, the evil preventing the emergence of the very universe. And the tikkun came about through the concept of the ruach of Hashem hovering. Chazal say, know that this is the ruach of Moshiach, namely the concept of the good, the sum totality of all good having emerged from the evil of the void and the darkness. Wow. Now that I think is amazing. Now this ruach of Moshiach is synonymous with good because the good points that we find in every single Jew are all sparks of Moshiach. For Moshiach in his redemptive capacity is the essence of good. He is identified with the Redeemer Moshe. And with also, Reb Nosson mentions now, the Redeemer Boaz, of whom it is stated, then in the morning, if he is willing to redeem you good, let him redeem. So Reb Nosson is now throwing in this idea of the story of Ruth and how she came back from Eretz Yisrael as the daughter-in-law of Naomi, and the family had lost their father and their two sons, and now some other member, extended member of the family could have the opportunity of redeeming them, marrying them, and giving them a child so that the family line of Naomi and her late husband and late sons could be continued. Boaz is the redeemer. In the morning, if he's willing to redeem you, good, let him redeem. Okay. Now, when I'm looking into the Perushim here, I'm giving you incredible explanations on what's written by Reb Nosson, and it's a beautiful translation, and elucidation by Moshe Maikov. So I need to give him my tremendous thanks. So this idea of Moshe being the embodiment of good, this is also any tzaddik. Any tzaddik who is the aspect of Moshe or Moshiach has this good in him. And wherefore, why, how is the good found? The good is found by this person, the tzaddik's ability to find good in every single Jew. So if you want to be like the Moshiach, and if you want to be like Moshe, look and find good in every single Jew. Reb Nachman teaches that the tzaddik is the one who possesses the qualities of Moshe Moshiach and has the power to transform all evil into good and thus eliminate evil entirely. So, coming back into the text, the Ruach of Moshiach is synonymous with good because the good points that we find in every single Jew are all sparks of Moshiach. For Moshiach is, in his redemptive capacity, is the essence of good. He is identified with Moshe and also with Boaz. Because of says of Boaz, in the morning, if he's willing to redeem, very good, let him redeem. We learn from this verse that Moshiach, the Redeemer of Israel, is identified with good, and that good is the catalyst for redemption. Thus, it is through the Ruach of God, Ruach Elokim, namely this good Ruach, the Ruach of Moshiach, that the world essentially continues to exist and evolve. And it's through this that Hashem says, let there be light, and there was light. Subsequently, God separated the light from the darkness because it's by rousing the good point. A person generally moves to a position of merit, and then the light is revealed and the darkness is separated and set apart from the light and the evil from the good, and so on, as explained. Wow. So all of creation is primarily a result of finding and refining the good point. This corresponds to the Zohar's teaching that the design of the Mishkan also matched the design of the act of creation, for the Mishkan also involved birur, as we've explained before. Conceptually, it was constructed from the spiritually refined good that was contributed by the Jewish people. That is why the Ma'amad, the delegation that stood by the korbanot as they were being presented, would engage in reciting the act of creation. As explained, presenting the korban is akin to the act of creation. It's sharing the characteristic of birur, removing and extracting good from evil. Beautiful. I think this is incredible. Then the korban is offered exclusively in the Mishkan or the Beis HaMikdash. The korban is an act of birur. The Mishkan and the Beis HaMikdash involve birur. They were built through birur. Birur, refining the good, extracting it from the bad. This is a hint in the Torah's reference to the site of the Beis HaMikdash as the good mountain. It's here on this mountain where the Beis HaMikdash stood that birur was separated from evil. Now, the last part of this lesson, and it's gone a little longer than I like, but was the second Torah passage, section of passages that they recited was Parshat Hazinu. And Parshat Hazinu is a song by which Moshe Rabbeinu reassured the Jewish people that because of this song, the Torah would never be forgotten. This song will testify that it won't be forgotten, even in the greatest concealment. I will utterly hide. This song will be my witness. But the song implies that even if the Jewish people are very far from Hashem, even if they've fallen into the deepest concealment, they are nevertheless close to Hashem. Good points can still be found in them, even the lowliest of them. And this is the important verse in Hazinu, Ki chelek Hashem amo Yaakov v'chule. Hashem's portion is his people. He discovered them in a desolate land. Even in a desolate land, where even in a desolate land and in formlessness, we find Hashem's portion is his people. This is also connected to the good point, because conceptually they are Hashem's portion. Conceptually, they are Hashem's portion inside his people. Just bekitzur, how is it? The good points are his people's portion of godliness. Why are they his people? Because they have godliness, they have him inside them. Therefore, they would recite from Parshas Hazinu while the sacrifices were being presented. It is through bringing the korban that the good points undergo birur. Therefore, Parshat Hazinu is called a song. It is written, this song will testify. Why? What is it testifying? Ki chelek Hashem amo Yaakov v'chulei. The chelek of Hashem is in the amo. And so we will always be connected and we will always have that good point in us. We sing this Parshat Hazinu, and just in concluding, because what Reb Nosson is doing is he's talking about the beginning of our davening in the morning, and he's speaking about in the beginning we recite verses of korbanot and ketoris, which we explained is this extraction of good from bad. And then in Pesukei de Zimra, we are able to sing our melodies because we are extracting these good points, and extracting these good points is connected to the whole creation of the world, and that is what's recited while we're doing korbanot, and that's this connection is going to help us to sing during Pesukei de Zimra, singing, and as Rabbi Nachman has spoken so much, we'll be able to sing a zamra to Hashem. We'll be able to sing a zamra lelohei bo'odi, with a little bit of good that is in me, that I find when I wake up in the morning and search for it, that will enable me to sing the melodies, to sing my song, to sing my praises, and that will get us through Pesukei de Zimra. And later on, we're going to move into an analysis of Shema and beyond. But hopefully, with this idea that in finding the good point within ourselves, we're doing what Hashem did. He found the good in that Ruach Elokim that was Merachefes al Panei HaMayim, that was hovering on the face of the earth. And with that, he was mitgaber, he was able to overcome the negativity of the darkness. Now, just before I close, I just want to share with you another little teaching on this first work of, this first verse of creation, V'ha'aretz hayta tohu uvohu. It's brought down, and it's brought down in Bereshis Rabbah, that this opening verse alludes to all the exiles that we have had, all through creation. V'ha'aretz hayta tohu, Bavel, uvohu, Persia, v'choshech, Greece, and Veruach, and then it says, and it was tohu, and there was and the Ruach Elokim Merachefes al Techum. The Techum, the depths, this depths was Rome. So according to the Medrash, Hashem's act of creation was negating this negativity that was embedded and would be kind of hanging on all through creation, all through time. That v'ha'aretz hayta tohu uvohu v'choshech alt, and there was choshech, and there was this techum. This is all the darkness and the exiles that would be holding the Jewish people captive all through time, and yet Hashem activated the Ruach Elokim and the spirit of Moshiach and asserted creation, which is what we need to do each and every day. I hope you have an awesome Yontif, an awesome Sukkot, an awesome Chol HaMoed, and Rebbe Nachman's Neshama should have an Aliyah on this day the 18th day of Tishrei. Sei gesund.